Hello everyone and welcome back to the tutorial series on how to make AI agent powered with the RAG concept in part 8. In today's video, we are going to understand how we can make our existing application more intelligent. As you can see on my screen, this is the working demo. What you can do, you can choose any PDF file, right? And then you can just process that. The moment you process that, it's going to just provide us the status like how many chunks are uploaded to the Pinecone vector database. But along with that, you will going to get now is the summary of the document which you have uploaded. That is where I'm making a call to the LLM. And then you are going to get 5 different best questions which can be answered by the document which you have uploaded. Isn't it as the intelligent feature to have in your application? So let's get into the coding part and try to understand how we can implement that. So before we get into the coding part, this is what the high level flow gonna look like. First, we have to upload the PDF, then the entire process like loading the PDF, splitting into the chunk, creating an embedding of a chunk, and then loading to the vector database. That is going to save. Now, if you want to create a summary, so you have to make a call to the LLM. That part we're going to see how we can do that. Similarly, we have to just extract the 5 best questions based on the uploaded PDF content. Again, we are going to make a call to the LLM. And then, what we're going to do, the rest of the workflow is going to same. We just ask a question. It is just going to create a context based on the query. Format the context, create a prompt, send it to LLM and get the answer. So this is what we're going to just understand how we can achieve that. So before you continuing with this video, I would highly recommend you to watch my previous video because most of the code we will be going to use from the earlier part. But in this video, even if you won't watch the previous part, still I try to just clean up a code a little bit, right? So what I have done is I have just created a very simple, functions, So this function, that, we are just, creating, the object related to the retriever or the embedding and the LLM. So this is the same logic which we had in our previous video. And this is where we are just initializing the Pinecone. So these 2 functions, we all know very well what it does, right? This is again, the same function where we are actually just loading and splitting the PDF and just loading to the Pinecone DB, right? So basically here what we are doing, we are just creating a chunk, but right now we are not uploading that. That is something which we're going to do later on because we need this data one more time to create a summary and the questions, right? This is the function. So basically I just split up the main function where we were just doing that, right? So now the code looks more cleaner. So embed and index chunk. So now here, if you just see, we have an embedding, so whatever the index, whatever the chunk index we have created, now we are going to use here. We are creating first embedding, and then we are just making a connection to the index, and then we are using this Pinecone vector store, which we have understood. These are the 4 parameters which you need to pass. You need to pass your chunk, your index name, embedding, and a Pinecone name space, right? So this is what we have already done it, but now I have split that into multiple functions, right? Now, the next thing is again, which is pretty straightforward. What I'm doing, I'm just getting a complete text from the PDF. Again, same logic, the py PDF, which you can see here, what we are doing here, but rather than, making a chunk out of it, we are just having a complete data, which we are feeding in, which we are actually returning it here, right? So full text, which is, every line of code is actually just have a new line as a delimiter. Okay, so the next thing is, this is the function where we are going to make a call to the LLM to generate the summary, right? So now this is very straightforward. Whatever the text we are going to extract from the document, we are going to feed into this function, and then we are getting a LLM object, and then we are creating a template. And this template is, if you just see what we need a summary of our content, right? So what I'm saying, summarize the following document content concisely, focus on the main topics and the key point. You can change this from depending upon what you feel would be the best, the template, and it will provide you the best information. And then document content and passing a document. And then we are expecting this summary has to be written, right? Now, again, Through this template, we are just creating a prompt, and then this is where we are actually just change our logic. And now we are using a LangChain expression library. What it does is, rather than, just creating, just invoking function one by one, we can just create a chain, which is a standard which LangChain provides. So, right, what we have to do, summary prompt, whatever the object we are getting, we have to just combine them with the pipe separator, right? So whatever output we're gonna get with this is going to feed into LLM, and whatever output we're gonna get from the LLM, it is going to feed into this class. And this is pretty much the same pipe operator which we have in our Linux environment. Right? So this is just a chain, which is actually a kind of a pipeline. And now when we want to execute this, all we need to do is to call an invoke function, and we have to just pass in the input. So for summary prompt, what we need a full text, and where we are getting a full text through this function, right? So we have to just pass in that. So whatever this full text is, it is going to just pass into the invoke function, and this is a JSON which we are passing because this is the standard to pass to the input, right? So now we are passing a document with the full text, and then it is going to return us a summary if everything goes well. Okay. The next function which we are going to get is the generated questions, right? The logic is going to say, the only thing is the prompt would be different. But here, if you just see what we are doing, we are just change our prompt, and based on the document content, what we want, we need a list of exactly 5 different questions or distinct questions, right? These questions could cover important aspects of the or topic from the document, which completely makes sense. And the rest of the logic, if you will see, it's pretty much same. Only the difference is the prompting. We can combine this, but again, I just wanted to explain that's the reason. I just keep it in a different function, but in the next video, we can combine that because everything is same. The only thing is the prompt is different, and we can just play with that. Okay, so now the next thing is we are actually calling these 2 functions, when we are going to load the PDF, because if you just remember the PDF, right, processing PDF, at the same time, we have to have a status, document summary, and the suggested questions, right? So we have to upload this, right? Uploading is, again, we know very well, right? What we need our load and the split PDF for the indexing. So now we are going to get the index chunk and the loading error if there is any. And then we have created another function which is actually going to load the data with this function embed and the index chunk. We can quickly click on that. So this is just, again, we have split the entire function into 2 different functions. First, we are splitting based on the chunk size and the chunk overlap, and then we are just uploading that. Okay. So now if we just come here, so we are actually just uploading the chunk what we have created with these 2 functions which we have created. The next thing is we need a full text which we are going to feed into a 2 different function, which one of them is generate document summary and another one is generate suggested question list, right? Okay, so now once we have this, our process PDF is done, right? But now we again still need, our same logic where we used to ask the question and all this stuff. So that part is pretty much same. So I'm just copy pasting the same thing. The only difference is, let me just quickly copy and paste and just walk you through the code. Okay, so only difference is, this method answer question about PDF, and pretty much I just keep everything same. The only difference you will see here is we are using a rack chain rather than, just individually invoking every object. So we are just creating a same rack chain where, we are using a LCL, which is a LangChain expression library, right? So now here what we need, it's pretty much same like, context in the question, the way we were just creating that prompt, right? So if you just watch my previous video, you will understand why do we need to pass them, because this JSON is going to be an input for our prompt object, right? We are going to get the answer, and we are just returning a context and an answer because we need the context which is used for within a prompt. Now, everything, the entire flow which we have defined here, it's done. Upload PDF, splitting chunk, and I'm uploading to the vector DB. Then summary is done, suggested question is done, and the rest of the workflow we have just keep it as is. Now we are only left with just a UI part, right? For the UI, again, in this we are going to get a new concept which is related to blocks. So in Gradio we have a block where we can just define a multiple tabs, and there are many more ways through which we can do that. So let me just copy paste this entire code where we are actually just creating a UI part. Okay, so the first, it's pretty straightforward, just initializing the Pinecone. That is something which I just added so that we can ensure that okay, this connection is successfully being made or not, right? So it's just kind of initialization. Okay, so here we are seeing that with context, we are using this GR blocks. So first we are defining a markdown. This is another one where we can just define whatever value we want to put. So whatever markdown you're going to put here, you're going to see here, right? Upload a PDF, get a summary, right? So whatever you want, you can just do it here. Okay, and then we are creating a tab. Tab means now we are creating a two different tab, because if you just see, this is upload and process PDF, and then we have a ask questions, right? So this is a different tab, because what I want to isolate these two functionalities. So in future, whatever the new intelligence we want to add, we can define that. Okay, we want that intelligence to the upload part, or we want to add that intelligence to the ask questions, right? So this is again, I just put a markdown, then the file input. This is where we are just adding a new process. We are adding a new button, and this button on a click event, we are going to feed in the same structure which Gradio interface is required, like function, inputs, and out. Which function we are calling? We are calling process upload PDF, because we are just want to upload the PDF. But inside this, if you remember, we are just calling that create summary and suggested question as well. So those two things are being. So basically, we are returning three values, right? And if you just see here, we have three arguments which are actually going to accept that return value. Sorry. Okay, the next step is straightforward, very same, pretty much same what we had in a previous video, but only difference is now we are using a button, and on click, we are calling another function, which is answer question, which we have here. It's pretty much same function which we have in a previous, the name is little different, but the logic looks pretty same, right? So now you would have understand that, okay, now we have added this intelligence, and we have added few new concept related to the Gradio and related to the LangChain. So we are not individually calling those prompt, LLM, and start standard output parsing library. Rather than we just combine them as a LangChain with the help of a LangChain expression library, right? So now this looks good. So if I haven't made any mistake, then let me just quickly close this and let's rerun it. Okay. Hopefully, so far we haven't made a mistake. Okay, this looks good. Cool. So now what I'm going to do, I'm going to scroll it. Now we have the setting. We are going to make it dark, because dark looks pretty for me. Okay, now we can upload this. Okay, whatever. So I just have a new concept. This is related to the LangChain. So I'm just trying to upload this. Okay, now you can see we have three sections: processing status, document summary, and the suggested questions. Cool. So it is going to take some time. Let's come back to our PDF. Okay, the flow is covered with those functions. Cool. Just check here. Pinecone initialize, clear namespace, successfully index 15 chunks. We should see a 15 chunks. Generated suggested question, generated a summary. So we should be having our data here. Okay. So from the status perspective, 15 chunks got created and those got uploaded. Document summary. The document describes the LangChain ecosystem, comprising 4 tools for building, orchestrating, deploying LLM-powered applications. LangChain, LangGraph, LangFlow, LangSmith. These tools are designed to work together, forming an integrated stack. LangChain provides the foundation. LangGraph handles the complex agentic flow. LangFlow accelerates the visual development, and the LangSmith ensure the operational reliability. Oh, awesome, right? This really makes sense, right? It seems like the LLM is really doing a great job. Okay, so what we can do, we can quickly just look at the document as well, what we have uploaded. I just created with the help of a Perplexity. So thank for the Perplexity for that. This is the content which we have, but the kind of content is being returned, by the LLM is very awesome, right? Cool. So now these are the 5 questions which we can ask based on the PDF which we have uploaded. Cool. So what we're gonna do. Okay. What are the main tools from the LangChain ecosystem? What is general purpose of each, right? According to the document. Okay, so let's ask this first question. This is really awesome, right? So now we are not only getting a summary of our entire PDF, but we are getting some best 5 questions which we can ask based on the content, right? If you just see the quality of those questions, it's really awesome and you are amazed, right? According to the document, when is it recommended to use LangGraph versus starting with core LangChain? I think this question is really awesome, right? So let's first start with the first one, and then we will just see, if what we can do with the second question, right? So now we don't have to think about the question. We are going to ask this question straight away, and it is going to give us not only the context, but it is going to provide us the answer as well. Okay, come back here. Let's see. Written 3 documents, generated answer on server side. Everything looks good. This is the context. Okay, LangChain, what are the uses, LangChain and graph, blah, blah, blah. Based on the context provided, the main tools that from the LangChain equals some blah, blah, blah. Okay, this looks good. We can just come back here, take the second question, ask. Okay, let's see. Probably I have not exhausted the free. Seems like not. Okay, cool. Retrieve context from the line graph. What are the answers according to the document, starting with the LangChain for call LLM and add line graph for the complex agent coordination limits. Okay, it seems like there is not much information available in the PDF, but this really looks good. Those questions are really awesome, and just it's really awesome, right? So that's it from my side for this particular video. In the next video, definitely we are going to add a more intelligence. So we are trying to increase the scope of this application. Probably so far we are just dealing with a PDF. In the next video, probably we can just think about how we can, grab some URLs, right, and get the data, upload to the vector DB, and just follow the same process which we are doing with the PDF content. Because once we have a data in a vector database, then it doesn't matter whether your input source is PDF or some URL, right? So that's it from my side for this particular video. If you have any feedback or suggestion, please feel free to put that into the comment section, and I would love to include that into or incorporate that into my next videos. And if you really like this video, please give a thumbs up and click on a notification bell so that whenever my next video will be published, you will be notified for the same. And if you feel this kind of video and tutorial series can help your friends, colleagues, please feel free to share with them. And if you haven't subscribed for my channel, please subscribe for my channel as well. So one more time, thanks again. Stay healthy and keep learning things.